Shortridge. Subcultures have formed in the shadows of civilization as long as civilization itself has formed. One of the most popular forms of identifying with counterculture is the application of tattoos. But tattoos weren't always so taboo. In this brief history of tattoos, I'm going to tell you how tattoos meant a lot more to many civilizations than just a sign of rebellion or a mark of self-expression. The earliest known tattoo came to us in 1991. The discovery of the body of Uzi the Iceman on the mountains of the Italian-Austrian border dated tattoos back as long as 5,000 years ago. Uzi had 57 tattoos, and experts at the Smithsonian Institute believe that his tattoos were for the therapeutic treatment of arthritis. Even though tattoos probably started earlier than that, good old Uzi is the earliest proof that we have of tattooing. In Xyric culture, 2,500 years ago, marks are discovered on the bodies of mythical creatures and some other marks that were just purely for decoration. Although these marks were more decorative, the Smithsonian researchers believe that the tattoos reflected societal status. In Egyptian culture, mummies dating back as far as 3,000 years ago show that the Egyptians mostly tattooed women, although some pharaohs and some male priests can be found with tattoos. They were vastly used on women in association with religion. The researchers believe that the tattoos were applied ritualistically by the older women onto the younger women as a permanent sign of devotion to their god. Now, from the Egyptians, the art of tattoo passed on to the Greek and Roman cultures, and from the Romans, it passed through to the Japanese. And the Japanese were the first to elevate tattoos to a high art form. Their Japanese tattoo masters, known as the Horists, were well known and recognized for their full body style art, and they're still known for this today. The Japanese believe that the tattoos contain magical powers. And from Japanese, the tattoos spread on to China, and the Chinese spread them throughout the Silk Route. And from culture to culture, the methods and styles of tattoos changed. Herodotus wrote about the Thracians and the Scythians in 450 BC. Tattoos were a mark of nobility, and to not have them was a testimony of low birth, a far cry from how tattoos are known today. But the Polynesians were the true masters of the ancient art of tattoo. It's from their culture and their society that we get the word tattoo. The word tau tau means to mark something, and that has formed into the modern word tattoo. Tattoos have been used for many different things, from encouraging fertility, protection in childbirth, marks of bravery, and recording history. Western civilization, however, was the first ones to really mark tattoos as taboo. A verse in the Bible, in the Old Testament, Leviticus 19:28, says, "You shall not cut your bodies for the dead, nor any marks." And because Western civilization was vastly Christian, tattoos became associated as sinful. Around the turn of the century, however, the creation of the electric tattoo gun by Samuel O'Reilly and his establishment of a tattoo shop in Chatham Square in New York City began to give rise to the popularity of tattoos once again. He, along with his apprentice Charlie Wagner, made New York City what's known as the home of modern tattooing. Also, the popularity of the circus gave those with the love of tattoo a place to display their art, and brought the art of tattoo to the average person. The decline of tattoos began during the 1920s and Prohibition, but started to rise again going towards during the 60s. In 1961, however, there was an outbreak of hepatitis, and because tattoo parlors were so fiercely independent, they weren't able to come together against their detractors or to establish a set of standards. Not until the late 1960s, when Lyle Tuttle, a charismatic tattooist, was able to use the media and his tattooing of women and celebrities to make tattoos more acceptable to the modern era. Now tattoos have continued their rise in popularity. We have shows like Miami Ink, LA Ink, and Tattoo Highway, which have risen many tattoo artists to celebrity status. And who could forget about Ed Hardy? The art from his famous tattoos is merchandised everywhere. It can be seen on wine bottles, backpacks, hats, clothing, and many more things. It's everywhere. Tattoos seem to have found an acceptable place on many levels of modern society while maintaining their roots in the ancient cultures. These ancient cultures continue to use their ancient methods and prize their ancient traditions. While Western civilization is more advanced in most ways, many of these societies are waiting for our civilization to recognize body art with the same respect and honor as they do.